You know, sometimes a single event can send tremors across the entire globe. And we're not just talking about a physical shockwave. We're talking about something that shakes the very foundations of international alliances. This is the story of how one blast, according to our source material, did just that, triggering a massive geopolitical shockwave.
All right, so let's get right into it. The whole thing starts with absolute chaos. An explosion is reported near Delhi's historic Red Fort. You can just imagine it, right? The source describes a city completely shaken, a whole nation on high alert, and this immediate scramble to figure out what in the world just happened.
Okay, so with a situation like that, the big question is, how did the authorities respond? Let's break down those first crucial hours, because this is where the investigation really kicks off.
And things moved incredibly fast in those first few hours. I mean, think about this. Within just 2 hours of the first report, security agencies had launched a full-blown investigation. And it gets faster. By the 6-hour mark, the source says investigators were already zeroing in on a suspect, with initial suspicion pointing straight towards the Pakistan-based terror group Jaish-e-Mohammed. And that rapid accusation, well, that's what really set the stage for all the international drama that was about to unfold.
All right, so let's zoom out a bit and look at the international stage. Because, an attack like this doesn't happen in a vacuum. It immediately set off this huge wave of global reactions, and it really started drawing some serious lines in the sand.
Now, what's fascinating here is just how quickly support for India started to consolidate. The source material points out that some really key nations, and we're talking major players in the Islamic world, like Qatar, the UAE, and Iran, they all came out and quickly condemned the attack. For New Delhi, this immediate, widespread show of solidarity was a huge diplomatic win right out of the gate.
But, amidst this big chorus of support, all eyes suddenly turned to one nation in particular. A nation whose response, or maybe lack of a response, was about to send a massive shockwave through the region. This was the turning point of the entire crisis. So here it is, the million-dollar question. Suspicion is falling squarely on a group operating out of Pakistan. So, what was its closest quote-unquote brotherly ally, Saudi Arabia, going to do? I mean, the whole world was watching, and you could bet Islamabad was holding its breath.
And the answer? Well, as our source material portrays it, it was a stunning diplomatic pivot. The kingdom's statement was crystal clear, totally unambiguous, and for Pakistan, it was just devastating. The message? Saudi Arabia stands with India.
And this slide just lays it out perfectly. The huge gap between what was expected and what actually happened. See, Pakistan expected what it had always gotten in the past, unwavering brotherly support. But what it got was the complete opposite, a full-throated declaration of solidarity with its biggest regional rival, India. The source really frames this as a moment of stark realization for Islamabad.
So what's the immediate effect of a diplomatic earthquake like that? Let's dig into the consequences of this pivot and really focus on the fallout inside Pakistan's political and media circles. The reaction, according to our source, was, it was pure chaos. An uproar and a sense of panic reportedly just swept through Islamabad. This was absolutely not the response they were prepared for. You could practically feel the shock.
So, according to this narrative, Pakistan's response played out like a 3-act drama of, desperation. Act 1. A massive media uproar, just fueled by total disbelief. Act 2, they try to turn the tables, right? A strategic attempt to shift the blame back onto India. The hope, of course, was to force Saudi Arabia to clarify its position. But what they got was, Act 3, deafening silence. The Saudis reportedly just ignored the whole thing, leaving Pakistan completely out in the cold.
Now, to really get why this was such a big deal, you have to understand the defense agreement between these two countries. This pact was like the cornerstone of their whole strategic relationship. So for Saudi Arabia to make this kind of diplomatic shift, as it's portrayed here, it puts that entire deal under incredible strain. And it leaves Pakistan feeling strategically and very suddenly isolated.
Okay, so while Islamabad is reeling from all this, how's India reacting to this wave of newfound diplomatic support? This last part of the immediate crisis really focuses on the message coming out of New Delhi, and it was a message of strength and resolve.
From India's leadership, the message was just absolute resolve. The source highlights this statement from Prime Minister Modi, and it was totally firm, completely uncompromising. No matter who is responsible, they will not be spared.
So the bottom line here is this. The closing message from the source material is all about national strength and the promise of a very powerful response. The sentiment it captures is crystal clear. India will not bow.
And this is where the story really opens up, right? It reveals much bigger stakes and leaves us with a huge question for the future. You see, the events described here aren't just about one incident. They hint at a potential massive realignment of power. And it forces us to ask, how might this fundamental shift in the long-standing Saudi-Pakistan alliance completely reshape the entire geopolitical landscape of South Asia?